friends, this is the Mrs. Wolfie from our half acre homestead, and today we're going to make banana bread. There, that's a little better. Now, today we're going to make banana bread in the Cowgirl, of course, and what you're going to need is, now this is a large recipe for one of my long pans, so you may want to divide it into 2 small pans or a cake pan maybe. We have 3 cups of sifted flour, 3 teaspoons of baking powder, a half a teaspoon of baking soda, 3 eggs, 4 very ripe bananas, 1 cup of packed brown sugar, and 2/3 of a cup of butter. So first off, let's get the butter and the sugar creaming. Whoops, oh, I'll have to get a fresh one, hang on. There's a fresh one. Now, let's get our brown sugar, and lock. And we're going to get that creaming. And I don't know if I mentioned it, I've got a cup of pecans here. You can use walnuts or almonds or anything along those lines, but I like pecans. Never ever stick your hands in here, folks, when this baby's moving, because it can rip your finger, it can mangle your fingers very badly. Alrighty. Now let's turn her up to 2 and crack our eggs in. Don't crack your eggs on the side of the bowl, folks. You'll end up with shells in your mix. Just crack them on the side of or on top of the counter. Now, if you haven't figured it out, I sifted the flour and the baking soda and the baking powder together already. Now, you're supposed to mash the bananas, but these are really ripe, so I don't think it's going to be necessary. There we go. I was reading an article today where a woman inherited her mother's KitchenAid. Her mother died at the ripe old age of 92. And that KitchenAid was built in 1947, and she's still using it. Her daughter is using it. Anyway, I'm going to start putting the bananas in. I am going to break them up, but I'm going to alternate them with some flour. Yeah, this is doing a really good job of mashing up those bananas. And now I wouldn't do this if they weren't really ripe. If you have bananas like this and you don't want or don't have time to make banana bread right away, drop them in a bag or a tub and freeze them like that. They will go black in the freezer, but you know what? All you have to do is peel them off and they're already mush. Maybe we'll turn her up a notch. Yeah, let's turn her up a notch to really give these bananas a work over. Oops. Maybe not when you're adding the flour. Turn her down a notch and add some more flour. I like to add the last banana last for one simple reason. If it needs to be a little moistened up a bit, the banana does the job just right. Alright, let's give it. These bananas are wonderfully soft and mushy. Angus, honey, there's nothing at my feet for you. Alrighty, we'll be back in a minute. We'll let this be now. And we'll be back in a minute to put it in the pan. Alrighty, our bread pan has been buttered. And I'm just going to drop the pecans in here just at the last. And there we go. Our oven has been preheated, or is preheating, to 350 degrees. And this looks like lovely dough. I love the way these powder coated tools scrape off so easy. They're so easy to clean. The old aluminum beaters were just not that happy to work with. Now, let's take this off. And as I said before, folks, don't leave your KitchenAid in a tilt position for very long. They do have oil in the machinery up here, and it can run down into parts where it doesn't belong. So always Put it back down and lock it into place. Isn't that lovely how nice that cleans up? There we go. All right, let's get our banana bread in this beautiful long loaf pan. Actually, the loaf pan may not be big enough. But you can use 2 small loaf pans. Or you can divide the recipe in half. I love my KitchenAid, man. I did not have to beat those or mash those bananas at all. Now, I just got a phone call from Nancy. She's going to come for a visit. We haven't seen her in a while. So it's a good thing I've got banana bread going in the oven, isn't it? We shall have tea. And there it is, folks. This is going to go into a 350-degree oven for 50 to 60 minutes. And the trick with banana bread or any other kind of fruity bread is when you take it out of the oven, you let it rest for at least a half an hour to an hour. You let it cool somewhat before you cut into it. It's way too heavy and moist. All right, we'll see you when this comes out of the oven. Alrighty, folks, here it comes. Right out of the oven. Oh my goodness. Isn't that beautiful? I've got to punch down my daily bread dough and get that into a loaf. And this is the Mrs. Wolfe from our half-acre homestead saying, Nancy better get here soon or Papa's going to have half of this gone. Well, Nancy isn't here yet, but Papa is insisting that if it doesn't get a thumbs up from him, I can't give it to company. So I'll give him the battered piece. It really shouldn't have been sliced while this hot.
What, no butter?
No, no butter. The butter's frozen and you don't need the butter. It was made with butter. Just what you need with a cup of coffee after splitting wood, eh? Mm-hmm. Hey! Angus McNaughty. Don't forget to give some to the girls.
Is that good?
Give it a pause up, Angus.